Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Burns, the bassoon professor at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. In this video, I'd like to talk about how to play with different intonation on the bassoon and better intonation on the bassoon. So there's a few things that need to be in place in order for one to play with good intonation on the bassoon. You need to have a good instrument, reed, vocal, a good fingering, know about and use good ear support, and have a good bassoon embouchure. Assuming all of those things are in play, there's still a lot of things that we can do and need to do to play in tune. First of all, we need to learn to work with a tuner and learn what some of the tendencies of the instrument can be and of the different notes on the instrument. So there are, as with most instruments, there are some notes on the bassoon that can be well known as being wanting to tend sharper or flatter. And you need to learn what those notes are. My favorite way of doing this is to put an electronic tuner on and close my eyes and play a note with the tuner on. And then when I think it's in tune, I'm listening and I'm feeling like it's in tune, open my eyes and see where the tuner is. Is it right in tune? Is it a little sharp, a little flat? Where is it? And take note of that. And as you go through, and that's without making any adjustments, or especially that's with you thinking that you know where in tune is. And you find that, oh, I actually was playing it in the wrong place. I need to make sure I bring this note down or up or whatever. Then there's the question of, okay, how do I bring a note's pitch down or up or whatever? So this is what I really want to talk about in this video. There are some ways that I think are better and preferred, and some ways that I think are less good and that I would not recommend. One of the ways that I would not recommend, but that is quite common, is for people to really use a tightening of their lips to try and make the pitch higher and a loosening of their lips to make the pitch lower. Will it actually result in the pitch changing? Yes, but it's far less controlled. So I'd rather move it from these little muscles of the lips to somewhere else that I find more reliable. So the most reliable place that I like to use is using vowels. And the vowels we use further back down in our throat, and some people will refer to this sometimes as voicing. Now, in another video that I've done in this series, when I was talking about articulation, I was mentioning that we can use the vowels there sometimes for aiding in clarity of the articulation. And I want to make sure now that I talk about them in a different role, which is for pitch. In doing so, I'm actually going to play some of the same notes with different vowels and tonguing, so you'll hear some pitch changes. Now, if you're observing well in the video, you'll see that there's some other changes that will occur as well as a result of thinking of a different vowel. Now that was playing the note C in the staff, and while I was tonguing, I was moving and going tart, and moving the vowel inside the tongue position to create a different vowel inside my throat, and that results in different pitch. So the flatter pitches are the O, U. The sharper pitches are the E, I, and then so the A, E, O, U. A sort of neutralish R is probably where most people start, and then sharper, sharper, flatter, flatter. I mentioned in the previous video as well that sometimes we're actually between different vowels. So to find the right pitch for something, I might be going, oh, and I'm not vocalizing while I'm playing the bassoon, but I am making the different vowel positions. And really, maybe the biggest piece of advice I could give regarding intonation is I was mentioning before to use a tuner and to use our eyes, and that's an important thing, but tuning is not about the eyes. Tuning is about the ears and about listening. So what you really need to do is you really need to learn to listen and make adjustments. And I have a formula for that, a percentage for that I'd like to offer, which is I like to listen 90% to whoever it is I'm trying to play in tune with, and 10% to myself. And the 10% that it's listening to myself is to monitor, am I the same as what I'm trying to play in tune with? Now you might think, well, that's fine when I'm playing along with somebody else, but how do I learn to play in tune when it's just me by myself in a practice room? Well, this might sound a little strange, but I actually I audiate, which is like the mental hearing version, like to visualize as mental seeing. I audiate the correct pitch in my head. I hear it in my head, and then when I'm playing, I'm listening 90% to the correctly audiated note, and the 10% is going, am I playing at the same pitch as that note that I know where it needs to be? Now, if you're not able to learn that skill, then find a tuner or another device, and you can find things online if you Google them, that will play a drone pitch through your phone or tablet or computer, and start playing along with that first of all, and learning how to listen for it and how to match with it. If you have the ability to play with somebody else and you can listen to them, then great, because that's going to be a skill you'll use in any ensemble. But if not, you can use the electronic drone, and then at some point start trying to make it that you hear that sound in your head, that you audiate the pitch and you match that. Now, don't match it by biting. Match it by staying open and thinking of a nice supported sound, having the correct fingering, having a decent reed, and the instrument and the vocal are all in good working order. And then see if you can experiment with how low and how high can I make the pitch on any note that I play. Some notes are very flexible and some not so, but experiment with that. One final word about that as I wrap up this video is to know that even if you played every note like it would be perfectly straight up and down in tune with the tuner, that the way that we tune in an ensemble like a band or an orchestra actually requires us to make different tuning when we're playing different notes of the chord. So ask your band director or orchestra director or private lesson teacher about what is called just intonation, and that we need to learn that, for example, a major third needs to be quite a bit flatter in order to sound in tune, and a perfect fifth needs to be a little bit sharper to sound in tune. Explore that, and that's a necessary thing to know to play well in tune with others. And what that also means, though, is playing in tune is not a rigid thing where every note is just in one place. We have to learn to be able to play it in multiple places. And so again, learning to play with a drone, you'll actually learn to tune your intervals correctly to that. When you play a third above the drone, you'll learn it sounds best when you are at the right amount of flatness. If you are able to do that with a tuner going as well, you'll see that it will actually end up looking flat when it sounds best in tune. I hope that these tips help a little bit as you're working on intonation on the bassoon. Thanks. Bye.